Welcome to Coffee with Jenni and Dre podcast, the highly anticipated podcast by me and my beautiful wife. Everybody's been asking about it. Everybody's been wanting it to hurry up and come out. We've been kind of delayed. We've been having a few issues getting everything going, but man, we're finally here. We're finally doing our thing.
Yeah.
We're finally making it happen. This is my beautiful co-host. Her name is Jenni
Jones. Hey guys.
So, with this podcast, we're going to break it down into like a series of different episodes. So we're going to have different episodes. We're going to have different guests on. We're going to be touching on a bunch of different things and getting this podcast really up and moving.
Yeah, basically our theme or focus is just real life. Like he said, we've been trying to get this up and going and real life happens. So real life, everyday stories, our kids, what all they come home and talk about. We're going to have a few special guests and talk about some dating. And what else?
We're going to be talking about dating for sure. We're going to be talking about new age dating with these kids and the apps and all that type of things. We're going to be talking about marriage, ups and downs. Even though in our marriage it's always ups, it's never downs. We're going to be talking about us owning our own businesses. Just a bunch of raw shit that we go through. We're going to be talking about blended families since we're a blended family ourselves.
We are. And speaking of those blended families,
that
is what
families.
we are. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. But when I met Andre, he had 5 kids.
I did.
So kind of, and then we have 3 together. So we brought in now we have one big, beautiful blended family, obviously. But we will be talking about all of our children and the dynamic and how we do things. So that's a big part of us.
And we do have a blended family. We have 8 kids in total. Like she said, I had 5 before I met her, and we have 3 together. We have our oldest son. His name is Gerard. He is 21, almost 22. We have twin girls. They are 19. Their name is Jayla and Jade. And then we have a 16-year-old. His name is Jackson. We have a 15-year-old her name is Aura. Then we have a 9-year-old. Her name is Blake. We have an 8-year-old. Her name is Corey. And then we have our little one, which is our demon baby, a.k.a. our COVID baby. And she is 2, almost 3. And
she's the reason this has taken this long. We'll do that.
Exactly. So we have our own blended family, and we can just speak on a bunch of different topics being a blended family because, her meeting me when I had 5 kids, I feel like, when somebody comes into somebody else's life, whether it's a male or the female coming into a person's life that already has kids, it's a different dynamic of just how things work. And a
lot of people won't even date someone that has kids. I mean,
Facts.
You said that the other day when I was like, we should invite so-and-so on a trip and hook them up. And you were like, he's not going to date anybody with kids.
Well, we're talking about Carlos. We're going to throw names out there. We're talking about my boy Carlos. My boy Carlos really doesn't want, and Carlos is also my business partner.
But what if I had been like, I just didn't have that attitude. I didn't.
For sure.
Yeah.
But some people don't want to date women or men with kids because of it's they call it baggage, or it's a lot of things that you have to deal with when you deal with somebody with kids. So It makes it a difficult thing because you have another person involved, which is either the mother or the father, and you just have to deal with that dynamic. And you dealt with that dynamic gracefully, patiently, and a lot of people just can't do it. I personally don't think I could date a woman with kids at when I was coming up. At my age now, I think that it'll be easier for me to date a woman with kids if her kids were older, because I'm not trying to do the little kids right now.
Hopefully we don't have to worry about doing
We're definitely never going to have to worry about that. But so those are going to be a bunch of those topics that we're going to be talking about. I feel like we have a bunch of insight and personal stuff that we can talk about when it's dealing with kids and blended families and marriage
life.
and life just in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Us, being who we are. My parents were married for damn near 42 years before my father passed away, which is the best man in the world that I've ever known, only person I've ever looked up to. And so they were married for 42 years, and I've seen ups and downs in the marriage. I've seen, happy times, mainly happy times growing up with my mom and dad. And just, seeing how that dynamic worked.
Right. But that's crazy because you grew up in a picture perfect. I mean, yes, obviously there's always issues and every, issues can come up in every family is what I'm trying to get at. But you had same mom, same dad in the house growing up.
Correct.
Brother, sister. And I had totally opposite. So I had my mom always, but always, she was married and divorced and remarried and things like that. So I grew up from the blended family side, which is probably why I was more open to someone that had children.
For sure.
That's what I was used to. That was normal for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, but.
So I come from, my mother's name is Lally. My father's name is Willie.
And I always thought your mom's name, I remember one time you called me out, because it's spelled Lalia.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lalia. And you were like, who's that? And I was like, your mom. What's her name? You know, I felt so, you embarrassed me with
So yeah, my mom is Lally. My dad is Willie. I have 2 siblings. I got an older brother named Chris, and I got an older sister named Hannah. So I'm the baby in my family. So my dad was in the military, Air Force. So we grew up mainly on, Air Force bases. I was born in Louisiana, stayed there for a year. Then we moved to Germany, which we spent 5 years out there. And then we did a few jumping around other places. I really can't remember them like that because I was young. So we jumped around a little bit. Then we ended up settling down here in Austin, Air Force Base, where I basically grew up in Del Valley. Went to the elementary school. I went to Del Valley Junior High. Went to Del Valley High School. Graduated in 1998. While out Del Valley, I played basketball. So played sports, played all the sports, but mainly basketball was the one that took off for me. Really excelled in basketball.
And Del Valley was big. Like, it's funny because I still think about Del Valley and I'm like, it's Del Valley. So when you go, it seems small. Yeah. But it's not. I mean, it was a 6A? 5A?
No, we were 4A when I was in school.
4A.
They're 6A now. We were 4A when I was in school, which was still, there wasn't a 5A, and I think there was a 5A, but there wasn't 6A then. Now Del Valley is huge now. But I went to Del Valley, graduated in 98, continued my basketball career, did a couple of stops. I stopped in Atlanta, played basketball in Atlanta for a semester.
Got out of there real quick.
Got out of Atlanta real quick. I got kicked out of school. Let's keep it 1,000. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat shit. I got kicked out of school, came home, didn't know what I was gonna do. I was trying to figure out things, and then a coach from San Bernardino Valley gave me a call.
Off subject, but the reason we have Naomi the baby is a payback. 'Cause Andre was a bad kid. You were a bad kid, and now we've got this little bitty bad kid running around.
What does bad kid mean though? Like, what is that?
Trouble. You were trouble. You were nothing but trouble.
Okay, well,
I didn't get kicked out of school. I'm just saying.
What? That was in my older years.
I know, but you were doing.
Yeah, so I got kicked out of school, and came home. Nobody wanted to offer me a scholarship because of the trouble that I had gotten into in Atlanta, and so a coach from San Bernardino Valley gave me a call. It was like, "Yo, come out here. I'm not giving you a scholarship, because of your, things you've been in. You gotta earn it," type of deal. So I went out there, went to San Bernardino Valley Junior College, killed. Did my thing, killed. Met some of my best friends out there in California, which is my boy CB and my boy Bobby Burries and a couple of my other teammates I met out there. Which California was probably like my best experience in like life. I really grew up out there.
Had your first child.
Had my first child out there. Yeah. His name is Gerard. That was my first baby. I had him, me and his mother, which her name is Yoli. We had Gerard together. She played soccer. I played basketball. We end up having Gerard, and we end up at that point, both of our lives had changed because we were basically kids raising a kid. We had a lot of help. Her parents and her aunt was just great help for us out there. I think Yoli and her family out there took me in and helped me understand that dynamic of being how to raise a family, because her dad was super traditional, just a good man and a good husband to her and a good father. So he showed me, which I've already had that structure in my family as well. But we had Gerard.
But she too had a family.
She had a family as well.
Together.
Yeah. Things didn't work out for us as a relationship wise, but we took the the challenge of, us being kids and raising a kid. So that's how.
And y'all have a very good relationship now, and I have a very good relationship with her.
Do.
So
she's pretty awesome. So
she is. She's awesome. She's hilarious. She welcomes me as another mom, as a stepmom. She's never made me feel
correct
less than. She's awesome
for sure
for us.
So I did. I went to San Bernardino Valley. After San Bernardino Valley, because it's a JC, you have to move on. So the crazy thing is, my junior college coach took the head coaching job at Cal State, and so he
brought you on,
brought me along. For
did you get a scholarship then?
What? Of course. So got to Cal State, played basketball there, finished up. So I had to go to another school after Cal State only because of my hours were messed up from Atlanta. They had messed up my hours because of getting kicked out of school, didn't finish up. So my senior year at Cal State, I had to either play a half a semester or I had to transfer to an NAIA school, and I can play a whole year. So at that point, I came back to Austin and went to HT, Houston-Tillotson College, and I played there for my last year, which was probably the easiest year of basketball in my life, because going from a big-time school to a small school,
yeah, but it was an adjutment, because you were telling me
it was an adjustment.
Weren't
man.
y'all like the food? Weren't y'all like on planes?
We was catching planes. We was we were
in
riding
California.
in California.
Yeah,
we was riding on the big Greyhound, the big buses with all the luxury stuff that you can possibly have, and then going to HT where it was a shock because we were eating like at fast food places.
Weren't y'all on the bus with the girls?
We rode the same bus as the girls' basketball team. So like shit was like totally different. It was
experience,
a shock.
yeah.
Totally different experience. Go from sitting, 15,000 people in the stands to 400 people, 100 people in the stands. But one good thing about HT is that it's small. It's an all-black school. It's small, and you can feel the atmosphere was better than at Cal State. The energy was better. I mean, everybody was damn near on the court, so it was a
hype.
It was a better hype, a better feeling.
I like that.
playing there. So that's the extent of like my graduate from high school to college, and then
so once you came back to Austin, you were here. You didn't.
I didn't go anywhere else after. I mean,
why we met
at HT, and then we met. But speaking on like my family and how my dynamic was, man, me and my brother are farther apart in age. So he was out the house before like all my stuff ever was, rolling. Right. So he was already out the house. So I really mainly was in the house with my sister because we're only 2.5, 3 years apart.
Yeah.
So me and her were closer than what me and my brother was because he was never in the house, so we didn't really like grow up together since he's I think Chris is 7 years older than me, something like that.
I think he's like almost the same as like my brother Chris. You have a brother Chris, my oldest brother Chris. Mm-hmm. I think we're almost the same. So, and I never can remember, but it's close, 6 or 7 years, something like that.
Yeah,
because I think they're the same age. They're like
who?
Chris and Chris.
No, my brother's I'm 44. My brother 50.
Chris is close.
51 or some shit like that.
He might be 49. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, that's my dynamic in far as like how I kind of got to where I am today. I mean, I feel like my dad always told us that, my brother is his quiet side, my sister is his spiritual side, and I'm his wild side. So all three of us is him in one nutshell. And he would always say that, like, yeah, man, your sister, she's my, my spiritual side. Like, if I wanted to go to church type of deal.
Right, which Hannah goes to church. And
Chris is like my quiet side, which this dude is the most quietest person I've ever met. And he probably has smiled in, if we took 100 pictures, he smiled in 3 of them.
I don't even think 3. I don't think ever.
And I'm his wild side.
He's nice and fun. And when he does talk, you're like, oh, and you have this good conversation with him and he's funny.
Yeah.
But he's just very opposite of you.
For sure.
He's going to be straight-faced, not smiling. And you're like.
Yeah. And my brother has 5 kids and my sister has 6 kids, and I have 8 kids. So we ain't playing around with
Nana
these grandbabies.
is busy.
Yeah,
Nana is very busy as a grandma.
Grandma is busy on this side of town, and so.
So when we get together, it's crazy because already your nieces are having babies already. So it's like there's a lot of kids.
And for the record, Gerard, Jayla, Jay, I'm not ready to be no goddamn granddaddy at all. Like, I'm not trying to have no I mean, I got a 3-year-old right now, so I'm not even trying to raise her right now. So if y'all trying to have,
but we did pick out our grandparent name.
We did.
We don't need to disclose.
We don't need to disclose them
because then that's like putting it out. We're not trying to be that yet.
Yeah,
but we did pick them out
for sure. We did pick out grandparents' names and
who does that?
What we're gonna go with. But for the record, I'm Gerard. I'm not trying to be no granddaddy.
Please.
Jayla and Jade, I'm not trying to be no granddaddy right now. I'm trying to, I'm trying to chill for a little bit before I'm trying to babysit. I'm damn near doing that now anyway with the young ones we have.
Exactly.
So that's like how I'm here today. And then I'll touch on, more about.
Well, go ahead.
We'll get more about on that.
How we met.
And how the dynamic is with that. But yeah, go ahead, babe.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself, which I feel like I grew up totally opposite from what you grew up because, but I grew up, I have four brothers, no sisters. Like I said, my mom had married my dad and was with my dad for, I think, 14 years. I'm going to throw that out there, but I don't really know. So when they divorced, me and my 2 brothers, again, I had a blended family. So my mom had a son before she met my dad. My dad had 2 sons before he met my mom. So when they came together, there were 3 boys already. And then they had another son, so that's Brian, and then they had me. So that's how, so when my mom and my dad separated, it was Brian and Chris. So it was me, Brian, and Chris all the time. So that's who we lived with. And we moved to a small town north of Dallas called Salina, and it was just a teeny tiny town, which we had, there was no fast food or alcohol, or you could do nothing besides ride bikes around the town and find like neighbors to toilet paper, basically. That's like what we did for fun. But it was great. I mean, I loved it there. I went there from 4th grade on, and I met my best friend, Candace. Maybe we should have her on one day.
We can, for sure. Candy,
we met each other. We both were taking trash out in 4th grade, and we lived directly across the street from each other. So she was taking the trash out, and I was taking the trash out, and that's when we met, and we've been best friends ever since. And so, but yeah, I did cheerleading and track. It's a small town, so basically you did all the sports: cheerleading, track, basketball. Did a little bit of softball. I don't claim softball. However, I was a good catcher. Could definitely get the ball where it needed it to go.
Nice.
But anyways, what else? What else is there to know about me? I mean, small town, you like to bring up that I was popular. I was popular in high school, of course.
Popular. I mean, but
I graduated with 64 kids.
Yeah. Let's get that on the record. Graduated with 64 kids, and she claims to be popular when her town is only 600 people.
Basically,
total.
Everybody was popular.
Yeah, it's not like
everybody was popular.
Yeah, facts.
I just happened to be a little bit more popular.
Yeah, tell her.
I'm kidding, obviously.
So, growing up in your small town, which is, I've grown to love small towns now since we live in a small town now.
Love it.
And I think small towns are really a great place to like raise families than like the big city, in my opinion. I think being in those small towns allows more community activity going on. I think that what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, everyone knew who I was and who I belonged to, and all the kids did. So like our friend Cindy, for instance, we would call it Carey Street because everyone in her family lived on that street. Mm-hmm. So if you were walking around and someone knew me, it didn't matter. Like, who we are and so you could never really if you did something, everyone knew. It would just get out really quickly. So it kind of keeps you in line, if that makes sense. Like as a kid, I say this all the time. I never even saw, I'm sure there were drugs, but like I never saw drugs. I saw weed one time, I think in high school. Candace might argue that, I don't know, but that's the one time I remember I was like, oh, there's weed. But other than that, I never saw like a hard drug or someone take something, or even pregnancies like weren't happening. I mean, like people weren't getting pregnant in high school or anything like that. We would walk. I mean, me and Candace walked the entire town. I mean, without my mom ever being concerned or worried, we would walk from our house to, it was called Bobcat, which was the one and only grocery store. And you would walk around like the square in Salina. I mean, it was just like, it was such a cool, looking back on it, I didn't realize like how cool and how lucky, like we were like, oh, can't wait to get out of this town, you know, type thing. But I would love for my kids to grow up the exact same way. I mean, it was
so you
awesome.
So you was in shock when you got to Texas Tech and when everybody was turned up.
So Texas Tech was still though, it still had like that small feel because everyone that went to Tech was kind of like from
Lubbock
country towns. It was more of a country school.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it was definitely what I liked about Lubbock was it was easy to get around in because in Salina, I didn't ever have to worry about getting lost. I mean, I knew how to drive, how to get from A to B.
Yeah.
And in Lubbock, it was like the roads are one, like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or A, B, C, D type thing. Like it was the graph was very easy. So
Yeah.
I could maneuver without getting lost there, which that's what I really liked about Tech. So, and then I became a dental hygienist, or that's what I went to school to be. I originally wanted to be an orthodontist, and then I realized, I talked to a couple dentists, and they were like, it's kind of funny how I look back on it. It was a couple of male dentists, and they were like, if you ever want to be a mom or be married, you don't need to be a dentist because you won't ever have the time for your kids. And I was like, okay. So like started thinking along that lines, and they're like, you should be a dental hygienist. And so I started looking into it, and I just wanted to like be done and start making money. Like that's what I wanted to do. So I was like, I'll do that. And I really wanted to be in Austin because that's just, I loved Austin. I always wanted to be there. And I was living in Austin for a while. I kind of skipped over that part. When my mom and dad were married, we were in Cedar Park. Leander Cedar Park is what it was. It was like one thing at that time. Now they're both so big, they're separate. But that's where we lived. And so I always loved it here. I had a great experience. So I knew part of me always wanted to come back to Austin.
Yeah.
And so there was a dental hygienist school in Austin, and I applied to it, and they told me no one ever gets in on the first time. And I was like, I'm gonna get in the first try. So I went to the school, and I was like, what do we need? And the lady sat there, and she's like, you got to do this, and that. And so I did. And I was the only kid in my class that had only applied once and got in. So everyone else had applied multiple times.
Nice.
So when you apply multiple times, you get points. So it helps you to get in the next time. Anyways, I did a dental hygiene school here in Austin, and I've been here ever since. I loved being a dental hygienist, but
For sure.
that's when we met. I mean, basically.
Well, you know, we did meet. We both, so right now, currently, she's not a hygienist right now. So we both own our own businesses.
Right.
I own a valet company, which is called Open Door Parking. I own it with one of my good friends, Carlos. He's basically my right-hand man. He's the one that really makes the engine
Carlos.
roll. He really does his thing, man. I wouldn't probably be as big or as great as a company if Carlos wasn't around. He really puts up with a lot of my shit.
Y'all's dynamic is good. Y'all have
Our
a good
dynamic is good. He's younger. He's fresh.
He's on those new age dating apps that
He's
we're going to
definitely
talk
on
about.
those new age dating apps. He likes to get busy. He likes to go to, what are those
I don't
what are
know,
those?
don't ask
What they
me.
be playing that same music, doop, 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 with the hands pumping. He's
That's
on.
him.
He's definitely on that. But I wouldn't change it for the world for him being my business partner. So I do a bunch of restaurants in Austin. I'm not going to do any shameless plugs right now. Maybe later on down the line,
We like to eat good food.
we like to eat good food. We do about 15 restaurants. Me and Carlos do about 15 restaurants here in town. We do the best restaurants. So if you go to the best restaurants in Austin, we're probably the valet people that are out there. So make sure you utilize the valet. They do a great job. My team is
Tip
really
'em,
good.
tip 'em.
Tip them well. They do a good job. We've been doing this since 2015 is when me and Carlos started. And we've been rolling ever since, man. We're only growing. We're only getting bigger. We got some things really working in this new year that's about to happen for us. By the way, Happy New Year's to everybody out there, man. We forgot to like bring that out, but Happy New Year's to everybody, man.
2024.
2024. We hope that all those resolutions that y'all written down, that y'all complete them this year, man. If it's to lose weight, if it's to find love, if it's to work out, gain some muscle, juice, become a vegan, whatever y'all resolutions are, we hope that y'all complete them. I think stats say that people that write down their resolutions, only 5% complete them.
You made that stat up.
Definitely made that shit up, but it sounded good. So just
we need to look up what the stats are.
I do need to look up what those stats are. What like people that write down their resolutions, like what's the percentage of y'all completing them? Because I really think that I think it's bullshit. I think resolutions are just a bunch of goals that nobody ever completes because it's just not like that.
It makes you feel good. They're like, I'm gonna like what we're into. I like to juice, or like there's things that I'm like, okay, but I've been juicing before the new year, but I kind of fell off. And so now I'm like, oh, I'm going to get back on that.
For sure.
Or, consistently working out. I think a new year just means, dang, like we're all human and we're going to fall off, which we do. And then, but it's a time to like, be like, okay, I'm going to get back on it.
Get back on track.
Get back on it.
Yeah.
And probably I'm going to fall off.
Definitely going to fall off.
But right now, like
you focus. You're focused for the first 10 days.
Dang, 10?
Well, you don't think you focused that much, that long?
No, I was hoping to be focused a little longer. Oh, okay. 10 days.
Well, I'm just saying, like you're gun ho the first.
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
So, like I said, we both own our own businesses.
Happy New Year.
My wife owns a cleaning company with one of her friends.
I do, and it's interesting. So I went from cleaning teeth to actually starting and owning another business, which was an app that I created for the dental world, basically. So it was like a temp agency app, which was great. I loved it. It was just, it wasn't what I wanted. I became unhappy with it, is the reality of it. It wasn't fun. And so COVID happened and it kind of that was a scary time, we could have a whole podcast on that. It shut down both of our businesses. So no one that we knew other than us had what we had, which was both businesses totally shut down.
Yeah.
And zero income, basically. And how we were blessed in those times with like different things that fell in, and that was wild. And so we were okay for it was almost 2 years before valet, because restaurants were some of the last things to come back because it was, get it to go. And so that was a wild time. And in that time, just like everyone else, cleaning companies were, come in and spray and come in and disinfect anyways. So that's kind of how the cleaning company came about. And so we do mostly not really residential anything. So we do commercial. So funny, we do a lot of the restaurants that you valet at, but they were kind of separate. It wasn't because you had to go in and pull strings. It was kind of different how that happened.
Yeah.
And then we got on with a luxury Airbnb company. So we do luxury Airbnbs and then restaurants. And it is great. I mean, like there's with every business, the startup is a process. Like when I think back to you and Carlos, when y'all originally started valet, like there's so much you don't know and so much that's foreign to you. And then you get everything going and it's running and growing and it's great. So we can definitely talk about business and the ups, the downs, and then running businesses and having the kids, which is my biggest reason is doing dental hygiene. I couldn't be at home, and we run a pretty traditional household. And so like I wanted to be able to be there. You didn't want to be the dad, mom. What is it called when
I don't know,
the dads are at home or whatever?
I don't know, but I'm alpha, so whatever you're talking about has nothing
you
to do.
didn't want to do it, and I wanted to do it, and so this allowed having our own business. It's just freedom, but in a different way, because you still have to work, and the work never ends. but it just still allows us to run our house the way we want to run our house, which has been great.
And I, people that get into businesses and start businesses all the time, I always, like, when people ask me, I feel like you just got to jump out the window, man, and do it. Like, people are so used to these 9-to-5 jobs and the security of having the insurance and all that shit. Like me personally, I don't give a damn about none of that. I'm always going to be the one to jump out the window. I like to always, me and Carlos' dynamic, because when you get into business, I feel like the person that you get into business with has to do things that you're not as strong at. I don't feel like if me and Carlos was the same at the business part of it, the dynamic wouldn't work. So me and Carlos' dynamic works good. We definitely butt heads a few times on our mission to grow, but we know what the mission is, and we know what we're both strong at. So Carlos is basically the operations guy. He deals with all the guys. He makes sure that everything on the ground is working. I deal with all the contract, the big wigs, talking to the owners and doing all that. That's my special part about me. And we just work good like that. I don't know how you and Jess's dynamic works, but if you want to touch on how picking your partner really makes work.
It is the same. It's just communication is huge. Yeah. Making sure, because frustrations come up and everyone's like, don't have a partner because you're going to end up not being friends and hating each other. And I think just communication, you have to communicate. Yeah. And if you have any frustrations, you have to get it out. But yeah, she's better at doing like the wording for the emails and sending out things and talking, and I'm better, kind of opposite. I'm better with the employees and how I probably get myself in trouble because I'm too like emotional with them maybe, but I care because I've been an employee and I know what it feels like for them to not appreciate you and not treat you right. And so I'm big on making sure the employees understand that I appreciate them, I value them, and what they do is difficult. And so, we got a good thing going as well. And again, that's a podcast that we could spend a whole, and we will. And that's something we want to do here is, if y'all do have questions or ideas of what y'all want us to touch on, because
for sure,
let us know. And that way we can kind of answer your questions on how we would answer them or how we would do things. And then also kind of just give our feedback on it. But we didn't ever talk about like how we met. We just kind of skipped over it and went like right to business. But I feel like we need to tell everybody how we met. And
how we met is a beautiful thing. I think that I think that how we met
it wasn't through a new age dating app.
We definitely we're old school. We're old school. We're definitely traditional. I feel like me personally, like I want to I want to do everything organically. I want to be able to meet somebody organically, and so we met organically. I was with one of my good buddies, James, and we were going out that night. We ended up at a spot called the Six Lounge.
Wait, okay. Everything he's about to say may or may not be true.
So like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, we were going to the Six Lounge. We had just left from another spot. So we get to the Six Lounge. You got to go up these stairs to get to like the roof deck part.
Okay.
It was, we're going up the stairs. It was a group of women standing, kind of like in the middle of what upstairs is like the bar area. And
you were up there before me?
I wasn't. Because when I was walking upstairs, I can see the group of women, that you were with right there. And
I don't remember it like that.
y'all weren't even facing like the stairway. Y'all was facing like the other way. So when I was going up, all I seen was five asses, basically. I wasn't looking at the asses like that, but one in particular ass stood out because she had on a like a maxi dress or skirt, whatever you want to call it. It was like black and white stripe. So I seen it, that ass. Her ass, and it was all right. So I didn't immediately go to the ass. Me and James went to the bar and we got a drink. And while I was getting a drink, there was a girl there. She was a Hawaiian girl.
I think you make that part
I promise she was Hawaiian.
Okay.
I know this for a fact.
It just makes it sound better Hawaiian, but I don't think
this is for a fact. We were, and I was getting a drink, and the girl was hitting on me, and I was talking back and forth with her, and she kept saying, "I want you to be my baby daddy." like the whole time.
Yeah.
I want you to be my baby daddy. And so me and James got a little fed up with it. So we started to walk around, and she was following me around the whole time, the whole night.
Was Reggie there that night too?
Reggie wasn't there tonight.
No. Okay.
So she was following me around the whole night. And so me and James get to like the back of the Six Lounge, and I was like, man, that girl right there, she's hot. I want to go holler at her type of deal.
Hot.
I didn't use the word hot because I don't use that type of word.
She's fine.
I was like, yeah, her right there type of deal. And James was like, I know her. And he knew you and another girl. And so
Taylor, probably.
Yeah, Taylor at the time.
I think Taylor was there. I know Cassandra was there. I feel like Taylor was there.
Yeah.
Faye, maybe. I can't remember who all was there with me.
So he knew a few of the girls. So I was like, let's go. So he walked over. He introduced me to her. But while he's introducing me to her, I'm starting to talk to Jenni at that time. And this girl is behind me, like on my coattail, like, yo, this is my baby daddy. So it kind of made things super difficult as I'm trying to hit on another girl. And this one girl is chasing behind me. Is that how you remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so everything is true so far.
I mean, give or take a few details. But yeah, I mean, she was right there.
The whole time, for sure.
It was... It was laughable, but I could not take you serious with anything you were saying with her, like literally in her face the whole time, saying that she was, or you were going to be her baby daddy, or you were her baby daddy.
I was going to be her baby daddy.
Because it
got a little dicey.
It got dicey.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
So I'm at that time I'm still talking to Jenni. We're having a little conversation. I think, I don't know if you were about to leave, I was about to leave or something like that, but I asked for your number a few times throughout the course of our conversation. Probably about, she says like 4 times, but a player like me don't really ask nobody nothing 4 times. So I'm thinking more like once or twice.
Not once or twice. There was a girl right next to you saying she was you were my baby, this is my baby daddy.
Yeah.
So you had to ask multiple times because that was wild.
So if you see this girl saying that she's my baby daddy,
because you were like, no, I'm not.
And
no,
I'm asking
I'm
you for your phone number. What makes you give me your phone number if you think that?
Because she finally went away.
Okay.
She went away for a second, and so then I was like, I guess I'm gonna give this guy my number.
Wait. Hey, listen, don't do that shit to these people that's watching right now. Don't. We're not gonna do that shit. So
listen,
you was giving me your number just to be giving me
because you were persistent. You kept asking, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this guy my number. That's how it went. Listen, I didn't tell my side of the story. So it was for a birthday party. That's why I was there. Mm-hmm. And that I didn't really want to be at. A couple of my friends convinced me to go, but we were running in a 10K the next morning, which is, it's a 10K it's a Cap 10. They do it every year in Austin. Mm-hmm. And it run like through downtown Austin basically. And so I was like, no drinking. I knew what I had to do the next morning. And so I was more focused on that, and it was getting late, and you had asked me several times. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to I wasn't like, I was just thinking.
Of course you wasn't. Of course you wasn't. You
okay,
look at me.
Fine, I'll give him my number.
Yeah.
So
I did. Like, cut that shit out. We was at the Six Lounge. Typically, anywhere I go, I'm probably the top 1 or 2 hottest niggas up in that month. Hottest dude up in there. Like,
also, we're in Austin. So let's talk about the percentage of black men even in Austin.
Whoa.
Well, you just...
I'm no matter.
You talk about me graduating 64 kids and how there's not very many people. So for me to be popular, it wasn't difficult.
No.
So I'm just saying.
But I'm trying to tell you, my look is universal. Meaning I look good in California. I look good in Michigan. I look good in Wyoming.
Utah?
I look good in Utah. Like, it's not many places where I can go and I'm not like handsome. It's like it doesn't work like that.
I'm glad you're confident. You've always been confident, which is why I gave you my number. You were very confident.
Stop doing that shit. You gave me your number because I was. You had to look at me and think that this dude is handsome. You're not just giving somebody your number just because he's confident.
Okay.
So why'd you give me your number?
Persistence.
Which
is probably why I married you too. You were very...
Like, we're going to stop this shit today. Like, I'm really finna cut the podcast short because you're over here bullshitting right now.
Okay.
Like, cut that shit out. Like, we're not doing that.
So anyways, regardless, you got my number. I fully expected, well, we won't skip over this part because you were like, you can come to my house. It's right there. And I was like,
so basically she's saying from the rooftop that we were at, she can see my condo from, we can
Right.
see my condo from there, which
And
was at the
you
W.
thought that would be impressive to me. That's why you said it. I know that's why you did. And I was like, I'm not going to your house. Like, did really?
Okay, you didn't. I didn't. Did I ask you to come to my house that night?
Yes.
Okay. Well, because typically the view makes the panties drop.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
saying, like,
yeah, no.
like back in the day, like if they go to the W and they see that view, typically,
right, and
98% of the time.
Okay,
you
good to know.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
So what I did like about this is, so go home. I don't hear from you that night. I don't remember, or maybe you did. I don't know.
I didn't text you that night because I'm not thirsty. Continue.
Okay, so then we get up, we go. I'm running. I'm on mile. How many miles are in a 10K?
Ask Carlos.
Carlos, I don't remember because I don't do them anymore. 8? I don't know. Okay, so I'm on mile 6.
Well, how do you know if it was even 6?
Because I remember mile 6.
Oh, okay.
I remember because I was like, whew, it was getting rough.
Can you be honest? You
like
remembered
mile
it
6.
because that's when I text you and that's when your heart was fluttering.
Yeah.
Okay, get there.
Well,
get there.
Yeah.
Get there. Let's
So
go.
yeah. So when you did text, in the text was something cute like, "I don't see you," or whatever, because your condo was able to see all the runners.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling fluttery, if that's what you called it. It felt good because it was in the morning. It wasn't like a late night text of you wanting me to come over, like you were texting me during the day. And I think I texted you back like as I was running, which is funny too. Anyways, and then that was like on a Saturday or Sunday, whatever. And then on Monday, you sent me the huge bouquet of flowers to my work.
Oh, talk to him. Tell him about that player shit.
So
Go ahead,
that
talk
was
to him.
cool. And then there was a time that you actually sent me and Cassandra flowers
Talk
to work
to
because
him.
Cassandra was my best friend at the time. Well, still one of my best friends.
But at the time, worked
roommate.
together,
We
and y'all
were
worked together.
roommates, worked together. We did everything together.
And wasn't Cass having like a difficult time when I sent the flowers? Like, something happened? I think something had happened. Boyfriend wise, it could have been something. Maybe I'm not, but something was happening.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
You were very nice to me and to my friends. But then that's not where it ended. I mean, we dated, and you would come pick me up
Take
for
you to lunch
all the time.
Yeah.
And we hit some like rocky roads.
Rocky is so, like I say all the time, it's times where like in relationships wise, like in the beginning of me and Jenny's relationship, I was like on her heavy, like texting her, calling her, taking her to lunch on time. I don't think we had done dinner yet, but taking her to lunch all the time and, really trying to get to know her. But she was more, I don't know if she wasn't feeling me, but she was just like a little bit more standoffish. So she was taking more of a backseat to things.
Well, and maybe one of it is you were very honest about kids and things. And so I had never dated anyone with kids.
For sure.
I didn't know kind of the boundaries there either. So
Yeah.
I was trying to be easy because you weren't just introducing me to kids. Like it wasn't one of those things. It was just, I knew you had children. And so we were, but yeah, I mean, you can keep going on that.
So, like I said, so I was liking her way more than she was liking me in the beginning. And then, of course, I pulled back because the player that I am, if I ain't getting no attention, I ain't even finna be pressing the issue. So then she started to like me when I wasn't like really feeling, I won't say I wasn't feeling her, but I was like more on like I'm cool type shit. So she was starting to feel
you
me.
You had moved on.
I definitely had moved on. And so she was,
moved on, but still taking me to lunch.
For sure.
Okay.
But so I was liking her and then I wasn't, then she was liking me. And then we finally got on the same wave path and we started to like each other at the same time. And then
I'm going to cut you off real quick because I distinctly remember that time. And I've told you this, but my mom called me and I still remember I was sitting on the back porch at my house and I was just telling her about you because we had gone through, I think we had stopped talking. Like we had stopped talking and then maybe we started talking again. I can't remember. And I was just telling Mom just about you and how I felt about you. And I remember my mom telling me, she was like, Jenny, like, this could be your husband. Like I remember her saying that and it like something like clicked like right then. It like gives me the chills.
Shout out to Martha.
Hey Mom. It does though. It kind of gives me the chills because like her saying that is what really like, I was like, is this my husband? Like, is that what this is? And then like we never really, after that, once we got through like that one like little rough hit, then we've never hit. We've been together ever since. Yeah.
So, we got to liking each other. We went on our first like official date, and like where I took her to dinner instead of like lunch. I picked her up in a yellow Corvette.
God.
You know what I'm saying? Came through that thing. Storing my yellow Corvette. So me and, I gamble a lot. I play dice and I play poker, but this night was a dice game. And I beat one of my good friends, Binky, out of his Corvette. May God rest
Again,
Binky. So,
super foreign to me. I didn't know anything about
so we're
any
shooting
of that.
dice, boom, boom, boom. I beat Binky out of a bunch of money. He wanted the cash back, so he gave me the title for the Corvette. And then I beat him out of the cash again. So I had all the cash and the Corvette. So I had the Corvette. I fixed it up a little bit more. It was already fixed up, but I changed some things on it that wouldn't be so Binky-ish. So, and then I picked her up in that. And at the time, I had
he was doing the most.
I wear a lot of jewelry now, but like I had a big, long piece and chain.
Oh, it was like okay.
With a big A in the middle of it, black diamonds, all that stuff. I had a pinky ring on. They had long locks. All those type of things. So I picked her up looking like the traditional football player. Now, I was doing this back in the day before it became popular. I was already him before it became popular. Right. So I picked her up.
Which is totally opposite from my likings.
Yeah. So I picked her up and we went to the Brazilian steakhouse with
all the meat.
All the paws. Where they cutting up and doing all that type of thing. So we went there and
if y'all haven't been to these places, like literally they bring like massive things of meat and they just slice it off and you just keep eating. They just keep coming with all this stuff.
And so while we're at dinner, like I feel like men know more, like if this is because I feel like because we're asking you marry me, we're doing all that type of stuff. So I feel like men know before the woman if this is going to be the person I'm going to marry. Because a woman can say, hey, I'm going to,
I had no idea you were thinking that way.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we was eating, I tell everything about me, which she had already knew, but just more in depth about me with kids and all this type of thing. And at that moment, I knew for sure that I was going to marry her. Like it wasn't even a doubt in my mind that I knew that I was speaking to my wife at this dinner, at this moment, at this time. Like I knew like this was going to be my wife. And I told her that too as well. Like, yo, I'm going to marry you. Like this, it wasn't even like no game or nothing. And matter of fact, when I told her that, I ain't even beat the cheeks yet. Like I ain't even get no ass yet. Like it wasn't even no sexual things going on. And I just knew like this one was the one for me. And this is way before the cheeks were even beaten. So
that's intense. That's
well, I mean,
intercourse.
Before any, adulting started
By the
happening.
way, there will be some talk about sex on here. So if you have children, earmuffs or whatever,
however you want to do it,
we can do. But that is one thing. We didn't do any of the sexual intercourses.
Yeah, until what I'm saying.
All the things.
It took a while.
Which is why you stopped liking me for a while, probably, because I wasn't just, here you go.
Whoa, Tom. See, she always think that it's like she wasn't trying to, listen, I wasn't even pressing the issue like that. Anytime I press the issue, it's going to be issued. I'm telling you, anytime I press the issue, it's going to be issued. Like, period. Like,
not with this one.
Okay, back to the story. So went to dinner, had a great time, and we've been rocking ever since. We got married in 2013. We've been married for 10 years. We've been together for 14.
Going on 11 now.
Going on
Almost
11. About to be
years.
April will be 11 years in this thing.
We had our first baby 1 year because Blakelyn was born April 17th. Mm-hmm. So I remember thinking, she better not come on our anniversary. I'm like, that's our day. She better not. Mm-hmm. She better not. And so she came a couple days later. So
she did.
And then Blakelyn, who's the first of the three of ours that we had together, 3 girls. Blakelyn was 6 or 7 months old when I found out, when we found out we were pregnant again, which was like, oh my goodness moment. Crying a little bit, not sure. I mean, I have a baby, my first baby And then finding out I'm pregnant again was kind of like overwhelming. So they're only 16 months apart. And that is Corey. So they are basically like twins. I mean, they do everything together. They grew up together. They don't know life without each other whatsoever. They're extremely close. And funny looking back on how scared I was to have kids that close together. I wouldn't change it for anything. It's amazing how close they are.
I know when I met you, you say I'm saying I feel like when I met you, you told me you really didn't want kids.
No, I never told you. I said basically how I felt about kids is if it's not that I never wanted them, if I didn't have them, it would have been okay. But my stance in that is the way what I grew up in without a dad and without that support of a male. I always it's sad to me because I always looked at it like, if I make this amount of money, if I have children, we'll be okay. Like it was never, it's sad, but like it was never like a husband's going to be there to support us. And so it was more like, I'll have to do it alone. That was my view of men. They leave. That's what I knew. And so when I met you, my thought for having children totally changed because I saw what a dad really is. I had never seen a dad like you. I had never seen a man be there for his children consistently and love them and support them the way that you did. And so that's when I was like, oh yeah, I want children with you. Yeah. With you, I want children. But it was never like, I don't want kids. That wasn't my stance. It was like, if I had to do this by myself, like how I saw my mom doing it, that's not what I wanted.
For sure.
But I had never met a man like you. I had never met anyone that I was like, holy cow. Even in life, if I had children with you, this is how well I knew you, if things didn't work out, you were never going to leave me or leave the children. Like I knew that to be a fact. So I wasn't scared at that point.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. You know, what goes through your mind whenever, you know, you find this man that you love dearly, which is me, and you know, I have 5 kids already. Yeah. Like what goes through that person's mind? Because I don't know if everybody knows what goes through a mind of a person who is coming into a relationship with the man that has, you know, 5 kids.
Well, the first thing that came to mind is you explained to me the background, which, you know, everyone's perspective is different, and, you know, maybe they have a different perspective than you, but I knew what you had told me. And so I knew that you had decent relationships with the mothers of all the children. And so for me, I needed to make sure I needed that to be okay, right? Yeah. Because I had step parents. So I never wanted to come in and be like, I'm the new mom. Yeah. And you know, we've had that conversation. I'm just here to support and love the children and be another parent figure to where if they can't go to mom or dad because y'all are, you know, because maybe they'll be too harsh, they can come to me and I'm going to tell them the truth and from a loving point of view, because I do love them as my children, but I'm never going to be, and I'm well aware of that. I never try to replace mom. Yeah. I just want to be here for the kids because I love them just as much. And just so everyone's clear, I've been in the kids' lives since the twins were 6. Yeah. Jackson was 3, almost 4. And so Gerard would have been 8. Yeah. So I've been in their lives
for a long time. And one thing, so everybody does it differently. I'm big on, like, they don't meet, like, my kids never met, like, women, like, a bunch of women, like, because it just doesn't work out like that. Matter of fact, I don't think my kids have never, they've met one other woman besides my wife. So they don't even meet, like, some people think that you should let them meet early, see, blah, blah, blah.
And that's something we can talk about. We'll talk about that
later on. But some people believe you should introduce them, you know, right away type of deal. I don't do that at all. Only because me personally, I think that, you know, I don't want them to get attached to somebody and then it don't end up working. So I want to make sure that the relationship is working between me and that other person first, and then I can introduce my kids to them.
You know what?
And I always knew that, well, my kids are very, they're good kids. So I feel like they're not bad. They're good kids. So me introducing somebody to them wouldn't like mess up the dynamic because they're real good kids. Do you remember meeting the kids?
The first time. We have pictures of it. We did the duck adventure. That was very first time I got to meet them. There's this thing in Austin called the duck adventure, right?
Yeah.
The duck adventure.
The little tour.
It's a bus where it's a tour bus, and then it turns into a boat and goes out on the water.
By the hula, I think, yeah.
And they get little duck whistles or whatever, and that was such a great experience. For me, for you, for us. So that was really cool. And that's when I knew, I was like, okay, he is serious about me. And I knew that because now I've met your kids, and it's different. It's that changes things. But what I was just thinking about is how you were saying that. I've never thought about this until this moment, but like me coming from a blended family and having step parents, I want to go ask my mom, did she ever have boyfriends? Because like, all I know is the men she married. Like I never met anyone else. Like I know John and I know Eddie. Like I never knew. So now I'm curious. Did she date people, or did she just happen to date John and then that was it? And then Eddie and then that was it? I don't know. Now I want to go ask.
But
anyways.
like, you know, like I said, it's just so different for different people, like how they introduce their kids to anyone. So, you know, rather like if it was in my case where it takes months and months and months, or people do it early, however it works for you. I just never wanted my kids to meet a whole bunch of women and then it doesn't work out. And my reason behind that is because, well, I have daughters, so I need to make sure that, they don't think that it's okay to have multiple dudes, you know, in their lives type of deal. That, you know, I just want to make sure that case. And I got sons, and I want to make sure they understand how a man's supposed to be and how things should work. So I think that that's the reason why I did it the way I do it. But people have different ways on.
And there is someone out there, I can't remember, because I think it was Steve Harvey wrote a book that was like, do or don't. I feel like Steve Harvey was the one that said do. Yeah.
Speedy time.
Like as soon as you think you like them, to introduce them to your kids.
I just don't think that's just
your
not my.
So
not my
I
way.
would like to hear other people's and like why you think you should or shouldn't.
For sure.
That's interesting. But it worked for us. And also it gave me trust within you, because I was like, okay, he doesn't just do this with everybody. And so then it made it special for me, because I was like, if you were just then it wouldn't have even really felt special to me.
For sure.
But yeah, so that was a big deal, meeting the kids, and then here we are.
Here we are.
I don't know.
And man, and kids are beautiful, man. Like I said, I have 8 of them. I got 6 girls, 2 boys. You know, with girls, it's super. I mean, you got to be. It's just way different, like with the girls than the boys. Like Gerard is my
everything about boys is totally different than girls.
For sure. Gerard is my twin. Like he's everything that I was when I was his age. We do everything alike, from walking, talking to
y'all's
look
DNA
alike.
is
Like we just he's like my twin. But then I got twins on my girls' side as well. Like where they're just a splitting image of me as well.
Which one is that?
We're not gonna do all the name doing, but because I got 6 of them.
You just called out Gerard for it.
Gerard is my oldest.
We're gonna eventually have the kids on here, but
the kids will be on
Gerard
here.
is like, for instance, I've been with someone who was like, I saw Dre's son out, and I know it was his son because they look alike, and I'm like, yeah. He walks, talks, acts, is bad, just like you were.
For sure, he's a great kid. But
he is a fantastic kid.
2 boys, 6 girls, man, and it's a hell of a ride. Like just being a parent to them, being a husband. You know, so basically on this podcast that we're gonna be heading out for y'all, you know, it's gonna be a bunch of just talking about our kids and how that works and how they act and their personalities. So y'all gonna get to know them really well. Y'all gonna get to know more about me and Jenni and just like our dynamic and how we struggled in the beginning to have kids to where we are now, because we've had a bunch of struggles of having kids at first because of some difficulties,
medical
health stuff,
which I think women need to hear, because when you look at us, it's no problem for y'all to have children. It's easy, which no, there's been struggles for us too. So obviously we're blessed to have what we have. It's an amazing thing, but there were definite struggles and being pregnant, staying pregnant, like all the things, which is definitely something. We're going to have some more serious episodes
about
that kind of talk about that dive into the hardships of that.
But just about having kids and all that, we're also going to be, it's just a lot of stuff that I feel like we have a lot of knowledge about and a lot of experience about that we can talk about. I mean, we're going to have other people on to discuss those dating apps and
because we don't know anything about the dating apps, but we're curious.
We're definitely curious. We're just going to talk about just, a bunch of ups and downs of just being married, how you get out the gate fast and you're in that honeymoon stage, and then
lust.
Then you have real life shit that's going on, and how to deal with that, how to navigate through that. We're gonna want we want y'all to give us some feedback. We want any questions y'all have to ask about how does this dynamic work? How do y'all do this? Why do y'all do it this? Interracial stuff,
biracial children,
having biracial kids,
the hair.
How to do hair, all the stuff that she's saying, man. We just gonna touch base on that, especially just being a father and just being a father and just being a mother separately, how mothers go through, damn, because sometimes my wife will be on Instagram or something and she'll see these mothers making all these damn meals or doing this with their kids and creative arts and all that. And then sometimes
the mom guilt,
and they feel less of, or, I'm not holding up my end of the bargain type of deal. And, I as a father, I don't feel like I have any dad guilt, because
no, because it doesn't even, that's
I don't
not
think
a thing.
It exists.
No.
Yeah.
I would love to hear a dad out there that says he has dad guilt, because that's not a thing. But I forgot. One of my resolutions was to get off of Instagram. I forgot.
Yeah.
I'll work on that.
So she's already failed one of her resolutions already.
I failed. But I do, this is one that I do want to talk about is Instagram or social media and your children watching it even. And then how being a grown ass woman, how it can still make me feel, even though I know I just made a meal for my kids, but this woman handmade the sourdough and I bought mine. So what do I have? I have a thing of sourdough at the house that I haven't even started, because it's a whole process. I don't know if you know this. Sourdough is another child. Anyways, another time and day for that.
For sure.
But we're going to get into
all of that.
All of the things.
We're going to get into our traditional family, because we're very traditional, and how we do things. Put it this way, I always tell everybody I'm the alpha on top of alpha on top of alpha.
Nobody cares.
So let me speak on my alpha real quick, and then we'll close it out. But I'm saying, when I say I'm alpha, I just mean that I'm going to do all the providing and all the protecting that my family's ever going to need. She's never going to have to worry about nothing. If a car's coming at her, I'm going to take the hit. If somebody's coming with a gun, I'm going to take the bullet. If anything is ever happening to my wife, I'm going to take everything that needs to be taken for her. So I'm going to always, always protect. Providing wise, she owns her own business, but she don't have to work ever in life. She can sit at home, take care of the kids, take care of me, take care of the house, be the sourdough mom she wants to be, if she chooses that. But if she wants to work, she can. But she don't ever have to pay a bill. No matter what, if my wife makes more money than me in life, she can be making $300,000, I can be making $60,000. She would never in life have to pay a bill. I don't know if she believes, but of course she has to, because we kind of coincide. But I don't believe in the 50-50 shit. It ain't going to be no, let's split the rent, let's split this.
No, but also that's something to talk about, because
for sure,
the way that I grew up, my mom was the sole provider. I watched her.
So it's hard for you to take that.
So, and I told you, and how I came into adulthood is okay, if I have children, I have to make this much money just in case the man leaves.
For sure.
So I still have that mentality, which is why I don't just sit back and not work, because I'm always thinking I have to somehow put in my share.
She don't have to work though.
No,
just to let y'all know.
And I know that, but it's a thing for me, because I don't know.
But we're not knocking anybody that does 50-50. I'm just super traditional. My mama never had to work. My daddy provided everything. So I grew up in a house where my dad did all the working, and my mom took care of the kids and did all that. Made the dinner. Like my dad always had dinner. When he got home, my mom had the dinner for him. Not saying that's not everybody's role, but I'm still on that old school traditional. Father does this,
is totally
mother does
off
that.
Subject, but your dad used to come home with his lunchbox and used to go through it. We would be over there. Yeah. He'd be like, "What's my daddy eating today?" And he would have his insulin shot in there with like a Snickers bar.
So,
he'd be like, "Look at this fat dude."
Yeah, so it's just that type of like traditional wise, and everybody doesn't go off the it's these new age people do new age stuff. So I'm just super traditional, and I would have to marry a woman, which I did. That's
how you grew up. You grew up in a
part of that traditional thing as well. But we don't want to hold y'all too long, man. We just want to thank y'all for listening.
Absolutely.
Being a part of getting to know us. This is Coffee with Jenni and Dre. And we just want to thank y'all.
Yeah, grateful for the support.
Grateful for the support.
Yeah.
This is episode 1 of our series that we're going to be doing. We're going to have the kids on. We're going to have special guests on. We're going to be giving away some stuff, man. We got a website coming up soon where you can go and purchase all your cups and your shirts and all your merch and everything that you need, man. Support us in any type of way that you can. We're going to be blasting this on a bunch of platforms. So, we just want to thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. And thank you for tuning in to Coffee with Jenni and Dre.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
See you for episode 2.
Peace.
Peace.